Good morning and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. We're here to fight CPS with your host, Bob Pace. It's July the 7th of 2025. And I'm so glad that you've found me, that you're here about your CPS issues, because I want to help you. I do this live stream twice daily, 7 days a week. That's 14 live streams a week. I've been doing this since October 2023. Day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. It's a long time, and I've not yet missed a day of it. Now, you'll find me coming on at 10 o'clock Monday through Friday during the week, and on the weekends at 8 a.m. And then at nighttime at 7 o'clock all 7 days of the week. And those times are given to you are Pacific Standard Times. And this is a live stream shown around the world. There are a total of 23 countries, including the United States, that participated, over 2,100 people. And you're faced with a dilemma of what to do about this entity you don't even know about. I call it the child protection system. There are many names, and I'm not going to go into all the names in there, but names like the Child Protection Services, CPS, or the Department of Children and Family Services, or Department of Children's Services, or the Cabinet, so forth. Every county will have a name for it in every state. Like North Carolina has 100 counties. And the reason why I'm picking North Carolina is that I found a article on the 26th that they had great changes to their welfare of their children. You know, child welfare is very important. It's been around. We've been protecting our children for over since the 1600s. That's 425 years that in the United States that we've been pretty much existing. In the early 1600s, it was colonial days, the days of Jamestown, days of Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts, in Jamestown, Virginia. They weren't states yet or colonial colonies yet. They were just little villages. Some of them have names that are lost forever. But children have always been important to people, and when something's happened to a child, they investigate it. But they didn't have any formal organization. In fact, they had more formal organization of care and taking care of animals. The Humane Society has been around a lot longer than CPS has been. It's divided into three parts, three histories. Part one is from 1600 AD to 1875. That time period is a few cases I found in the history about dealing with children, welfare of children. See, children were always thought as a commodity. Families had children to help work the farms. because in the early days we were farmers. In about 1875, we had these societies were forming, like the ones for protect our children in the streets of New York. There were lots of homeless children, and their adoption. I don't know if you saw the play or the movie Annie, but it's about a girl brought up in the streets of New York in adoptions. So there was some attempt by the societies that had a lot of money to protect our children. Also, 1875 was marking the transition of the Indian fighting with American Indians, who were our first immigrants that settled in North America. These proud people were being rounded up and put into reservations so they could control them. They didn't like the people that run wild. It seems like the settlers and Indians could never get along. Greed was there. Gold was being found all the time, like in the Black Hills in South Dakota. And treaties were made and they're broken and promised. And the children were the worst people. They were rounded up and put into private schools where they're severely punished. Their hair was cut short and they were abused. They couldn't wear their native clothing. They couldn't speak their native language. They couldn't even, had to lose their native culture. They were trying to wipe out the American Indians. They opened their arms when the Plymouth Rock people settled and they provided, they had their first Thanksgiving there. But these children were rounded up and it took them for another 100 years, from 1875 to 1962. Excuse me, 1978, I should say. Now, 1962 was the start of CPS, but it wasn't until 1978 that Congress passed something to protect American Indian children. It's called ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. And what it basically told CPS that they were supposed to try to see if the children that were taken by them were Indian children, because if they were Indian children, they wanted them to be handled by the Indians themselves. The Indian people were very good about taking care of their own. So they could be placed on reservations, and the Indians would do reunification with the children. Because you see, up until 1978, the children never saw their parents again. They died and never saw them again. Now, I imagine some lived for 60 years, and um, it's been hard on our children. They were used all the time, not only the Indian children, but all the children were used to work in mines and low pay and terrible conditions. But they started to organize. What happened in 62 was the doctors were seeing numerous children come into them with bruises and wounds and stuff that definitely were inflicted by parents with cruel punishment and even torture. So Congress in 62 created this group of social workers. They put the emphasis onto social services, says that you will protect our children from neglect and abuse and try to do family reunification, because they found out that the very best parents were the biological parents for raising children. That's true today. Studies have shown time and time again that the best parents are the biological parents. And if there's a hiccup, if they've done something wrong, like maybe a drug problem, alcohol problem, not knowing how to discipline children or things like that, because when we're born here, we're born with not a lot of life skills. We learn life skills from our parents. But I think life skills should be something that should be put in all levels of schooling. There should be an hour every day to talk about life skills at every level of education. That means 5 hours a week of life skills. If you're in school for 5 days, you have 5 hours of life skills. And what I mean by life skills are simple things like how to prevent bullying. Early on, kids are bullied a lot. They're tripped or pushed. There's always a bully. That's something that can be talked about. I think also CPS can be talked about, and they don't really talk about it. They don't talk about marriage or dating or sexual. I mean, they at one time have doing somewhat something. I remember in myself, we used to call it, instead of middle school, junior high. And there used to be something about drugs. I saw it. I was brought up in the 60s, and it left me kind of an impression. I think what happened was my love for sports had taken a hold of me. And I love to excel in sports. I knew that putting things in your system was not really a good idea. But we should have life skills. They should be talking about dating and and it used to be a time when kids had to wear pillows. I mean, they don't have life skills anymore. The reason why I know this is I brought up 6 children, and I don't remember any life skills except the ones that we are presented as parents. We had discipline, we had things like that, but they could have done things like other life skills, like how to do a checking account, how to save money, how to buy a car, how to ask a girl on a date or a boy. There's lots of life skills that we can present. How to do Boy Scouts, how to do soccer, how to do anything, sports, stuff like that. But the one important thing is the child protection system. I wish I knew something about them. I didn't even know they existed. That's how naive and vague it was to me. And a lot of you are probably in the same position. Next thing you know, you have a knock at the door. Now, back then, when it knocked came to my door, I went ahead and opened it. I didn't think about what it is today, the knock at the door, and you get shot 5 times in the chest, and you're dead. A black airman opened the door of May 3rd of 2024 in Gainesville, Florida. It was sad. It was really sad. Good morning, Dorothy Cook. I'm so glad to hear from you. I even talked about North Carolina early on, about the 100 counties. Now, Dorothy just put up a YouTube link, and so I can't seem to copy or open those things. I don't know why it doesn't allow me in this StreamYard application, but thank you for sharing that. But, I really want to emphasize these life skills because if we had known about CPS, we would have maybe be better prepared. I've developed 5 rules, really simple rules, that if I had followed, I would not be in the predicament I was in. I would not have lost my children. My children would not have been trafficked. But every day I talk to hundreds of you out there that have bad cases. I have a mother who's in her 40s that was brought up in Pennsylvania as a small child, and she was in foster care her whole life. They tried to use drugs. That's another thing that CPS you got to be careful about is drugs. They think they are doctors and they can prescribe drugs. They want to control people. Drugs are terrible. Not only, how we use them, but it's really bad. It's really, really, really bad. But this woman who's on my show a lot, named Megan Wilson, later on went to have a child when she grew up. But because she had a record and she didn't get your record cleaned, they followed her and they attacked her. They really do. It's interesting how I hear so many of you that are second generations of dealing with CPS. You deal with them as a small child, and see if you're in school, you learned about it, you can certainly be careful because it is not a good thing. But CPS, by my 5 rules, if you use them, rule 1, always look for a real attorney. It's so important. You don't want to use the court-appointed attorney. CPS hopes you do because you'll fail. Court-appointed attorneys do not protect you. They go along with CPS. They're not trained. Their background is terrible. And they won't fight for your case. They're too busy. They got like 30 to 100 clients. So they don't have time. So education is a really important thing. And we have our kids go to school for education. I think also we try to learn, and we're very fortunate today they have something called the internet. When I was growing up, there was no internet. There was not even a calculator when I was in school. Well, there was. It's called a slide rule. Most of you may not know what a slide rule was. But there was no calculator. I think they were adding machines and they were typewriters. But computers are such a worth of knowledge. And thank you for emphasizing things, Dorothy. You're really great help. I'm so glad you're helping me. Dorothy Cook is from North Carolina, and she's been working with a lot of people. I know we have another woman, Christina Reynoso from Las Vegas, who's helped out Megan Wilson in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. And Dorothy, had a horrible case where her children. I mean, it's really hard, but technology is. So anyway, I always emphasize get a real attorney. It's going to cost you money. And to save it is that we always think about getting homeowners insurance or renters insurance, or we get car insurance, or if we are making enough money, we'll get something called appliance insurance and car repair insurance. So if your car breaks down, there's insurance that covers the damages. If your washer or dryer breaks down, there's insurance to cover it. Your homeowner insurance is just your fire. And it's very important that you have fire and you have other disasters like floods. If you live in an area like yesterday or July 4th in the morning, we're watching the horrible floods in the Guadalupe River near the Mexican border of Texas, where people are being wiped out. These little boys were talking about on top of their bunk beds at a camp site, and they're watching water rise up to where they had to swim out of their place. It happened so fast. No advance warning. I don't know what I don't understand. We have air raid sirens for disasters, but we don't seem to, in the Guadalupe area there, we don't seem to have. Maybe it's too rural. Again, it's called education. So if I knew that I'm going to get involved, and you don't know, so you get that going there. No, what had happened was here we were talking about doors. I was heard a door knocking, and it was not somebody I recognized. We have a special code, and so I turned off my volume, but I forgot to remove me from the room. So I apologize, but you should be able to hear me now. Um, anyway, um, that's my rule number three: is don't answer doors. Rule number one is hire a really professional attorney, and you may have to sacrifice. I sacrificed my forever dream home. It took me 45 years to buy my home, and I had to eventually sell it to use the money to hire an attorney. So that's why I emphasize that we need to get insurance, because if I had insurance, that would have worked. Thank you, Dorothy. You can hear me now. Oh, that's interesting, Dorothy. I'm glad you shared that with me. Legal aid is not a good fit to fight CPS. At least there wasn't one lawyer that said it's a good case if legal aid took it. I would not win it. I don't mean to go to one of those legal aid like Zoom or something like that. No, you need to have a insurance. You need to have a professional insurance. And so, what I mean by legal insurance, let me emphasize it because that's important for all you to listen out there. You can buy insurance to pay for your legal issues. It's called a legal insurance plan. And I'm looking at it. I mean, this is something that I'm thinking that maybe, um, what does legal insurance do? And it's equating. What do you do if you went through life without health insurance, car insurance, or home insurance? If you didn't have home insurance, your house burned to the ground, you'd have no home. If you didn't have health insurance and you had to have your heart surgery, there's no way you're going to afford that. And if your car is totaled and you're being sued, you have to have it. You pay an arm and a leg for the medical procedure your daughter needs. When you get into a fender bender, you wouldn't be able to say my insurance is paying for the damage. You'd be forced to wipe out your emergency fund when that hailstorm came through and damaged your roof. The insurance premiums we pay are worth it to protect ourselves, our family, and bank accounts. How does legal insurance help me? And I'm glad we're talking about this because there seems to be that attorney you talked to in North Carolina seems to be a little confused what I'm talking about. Like any insurance, you buy legal insurance gives you peace of mind. When you do have to deal with a legal situation, your insurance company has you covered. You don't won't have to worry about attorney costs of searching for the right attorney that saves you time and money, things we could all use more of. What kind of legal issues will I experience in life? Legal insurance covers a variety of personal legal issues that you may experience throughout your life, ranging from planned to unplanned. Whether you like to call up an attorney to get some advice about a legal problem you're experiencing, want legal documentation created, or need an attorney to represent you in court, legal insurance is there to save you time and money. Are you getting married and interested in creating a prenuptial agreement? Legal insurance covers the attorney fees for drafting that document. What if your teen gets in trouble for underage drinking? When you have legal insurance, you get an attorney to represent your child, but don't have to worry about the attorney fees. Did your next door neighbor add landscaping to create a runoff onto your property and causes major damage? Your legal insurance connects you with an attorney to help him pay his or her fees. Do you want to adopt a child that are overwhelmed at the cost? With legal insurance, you can save $1,000 because your adoption attorney fees are covered. Have you a meeting to create a will, trust, powers of attorneys, and end of life documents? Legal insurance covers the attorney fees and saves you time because it's easier to connect with an attorney. There are 10 ways people use their legal insurance for wills, trusts, divorce, traffic issues, consumer protection, bankruptcy, defense of civil damages, property protection, and family law degree. There's family law degree. How does legal insurance works? Um, I can go through this, but what I'm trying to tell you, it's what your plan will cover. And there is a insurance out there for legal. There's one here called the ARAGLEGAL.com. Now, I'm not saying that is the one. That's not the one. Um, the ARAG is an insurance outfit that will help you there. Mega Life is another insurance company. Um, you just got to make sure you get a specialized legal insurance. Um, there's another insurance company called Benzinga, Benzinga. Um, they'll do the defense thing. There are two things that I've discovered that I'm trying to see if you can get it. Now, if you're talking about Legal Zoom or Legal Shield, there may not be the coverage you're looking for. It just takes time to find the right insurance. Um, Traffic tickets, tax questions, bankruptcy, consumer protection, injury damages, contract assistance, legal documentation, estate, wills, buying and selling property. Um, you may have to look at also deductibles. Children are also covered too. Now, these insurance plans are um, affordable. It isn't where it isn't there. I mean, they range from 50 cents per day up to $1 per day for most plans. So, if it's $1 a day, that's $365 a year. Um, you need to look for affordable deductibles depending on your income. And then you got to look at the attorney network, different types of legal matters. You need to include family services, things like that. So it is available. I just think maybe the research that you're doing, maybe Dorothy. Yeah, thank you for putting that on there. I know that when Dorothy said uh, legal insurance gives peace of mind, yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's it's supposed to cover the child protection services, and there's a difference between legal insurance and legal aid. Legal aid is a more simplified, simpler approach because a lot of things that you can do yourself by simple talking about legal aid. So I'm not talking about legal aid. I'm talking about full-blown legal insurance that will handle a DUI. Now, a DUI is a pretty serious offense, or maybe there is a criminal matter. Now, I don't know if Donald Trump, our president, has legal insurance. I don't know if Conway Diddy, who's in New York, is paying for. I mean, a lot of people are wealthy and they can afford, I guess. But that so happens that CPS is expensive. These attorneys are expensive. They run from $200 an hour to $1,000 an hour. That's why I see most quotes around the country, from $200 an hour to $1,000. Mr. Davis, the attorney I work for, who helped me with my kids, and I wish I had insurance, and I didn't because I had to sell my home. That's what I'm afraid of. You guys will work hard to get your home, your forever home, and have to sell it. It's gone. My home is gone. Those 45 years. I'm starting all over my life at 75, trying to get a full-time job in my career where I can get hired. And I do have a person interested in hiring me, but they're not going to pay me. They're going to pay half of what my salary was. But it's something better than working at a fast food place or some strenuous labor thing there, or holding a sign at a street corner or something like that. I need a job. And the problem is where I live. Now, I was born in California. I've lived around the world. I've lived in many countries. I know a lot about the world. I have a lot to share with you on that. But I do know one mistake I made was not having legal insurance. Legal insurance. Or lawyer insurance, whatever you want to call it. Someone that'll protect you for the unthinkable thing that comes up. Now, if you're a non-drinker, I don't know if you have there, but your children, they're teenagers. What happens if your 15-year-old is with a car accident and drives and so forth? I don't know if your car insurance will cover DUIs. I don't know. You have to look at your car insurance. It's so important that you know your insurance and you ask those questions. We don't think about it. That's what life skills is so important. I emphasize life skills because you need to talk to people as they're growing up. Now, I think as early as high school, they should be talking about insurance, what kind of insurance to get. Because in high school, you may not go on to college and you're going to talk about a family, get married. Not only should you talk about, you dating and divorce and CPS, we should also talk about legal insurance. Those are life skills. I'm trying to emphasize that's what you need to know. You need to research CPS so badly. I've been doing it now, fighting CPS for 15 years, but I've only been I've only been using the internet for the last, couple years, which is stupid. It's been around, but I never thought of CPS on the internet. Up until I started this show, I still did not know about CPS and how they railroaded my family and how they took my children and brainwashed my children. They alienate your children, CPS does, and that's against the law for alienation. And they traffic your children. They do things that are illegal. And so I'm just trying to do my show a little bit differently to help others out there to think about how you best can protect yourself. If you're in foster care, make sure when you turn 18 that the first thing you do is that you have your record expunged. There's no reason why that data has to be kept on there except CPS wants to use it against you as a grown-up parent. Faye Manley is a mother who grew up in foster care all her life. And she was tortured punished to stand on rocks in her bare feet for hours at a time, sharp rocks, by a foster care family. She was abused by foster care. She was raped. She was trafficked. She was sexual trafficked there. She had a miserable life, but somehow she was able to get her high school diploma and get a college degree in nursing. But now, as a grown adult, she had two children, and one child was a girl, and the other was a boy. The boy with special needs. And CPS, because they had a record on her, wanted her young daughter. See, you get a lot of money. There's a lot of kickback. A lot of bad things go behind the scenes. It's sad out there. There are parents out there that can't have internet. All right, well, I need to call the internet people and why I'm losing that internet. I don't understand. Um, anyway, um, I've gotten on to a different topic here, and I forgot to put up one thing. There's a couple messages I need to put up on my screen. Look at that message. That's how you text a message to me. That's how you text a message. Please follow it. I don't need to read it to you all because you can see it there. That's one way to talk to me in here. And I'm very fortunate to have Dorothy here. But I really do emphasize that understanding and using the internet to learn about CPS, that's my rule number 4. And I've learned that you have a certain way of prioritizing how you search the internet. And I found out that people say there's all kinds of browsers out there. There's Microsoft Edge. I picked Google because it seemed to be the best browser. I don't know if Microsoft had theirs first either or not. It was called Microsoft Explorer. I know Microsoft has been the operating system long before Apple had their operating system. And we have Linux, which is another operating system. There's several operating systems, and I don't want to. I do have knowledge, and I just know that researching CPS is so easily if you ask your questions rightly. You always start off with the city and the state, and you're outside the United States, add your country. And then after that, you put the letter CPS. That channelizes all the search engine to look for things related to CPS. And if you want to be specific, after CPS, you write your specific question, like a juvenile law, family law, dependency law attorney. You don't have to worry about putting CPS, but you already have CPS there. And it'll show you all the attorneys that deal with CPS. They're juvenile law, family law, dependency attorneys. And you already gave the city and the state and the country. So you should be able to help you. And I do have, as I say, 23 countries. I've had Indonesia and Bangladesh and India. Then up in the Middle East, I've had Libya and Saudi Arabia. Then over to Africa, I've had Liberia and Sudan. And then I've had the Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Mozambique, and then the provinces of South Africa. Then up to Europe, I've had the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, and then Denmark and Sweden. Then across the Pacific, I've had North America, Canada, its provinces, United States, it's all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. Then south the border, Mexico. Then South America down south. Above Brazil on the East Coast, Grenada. Then across the South Pacific to New Zealand and the land down under Australia and its states. So that's the cost of a pound of people that have come into my room. That's the 2,100 some people. And Leica, who's talked to my show many times, Dorothy knew who Leica is. Leica Hersenberg from South Africa. And she is a sweet person who met her husband, and on their wedding night, they had their first child. But she didn't know that he was a pedophile. And in their country, men have power there, and there's ways they get around that they can do certain things. And so it's very corrupt. And she has lost her child. There was another mother in South Africa that lost her child because it was in the hands of a CPS worker. And that worker turned their back, and they're at a lake, and a crocodile came up and grabbed the child. It's wild in Africa. It's wild everywhere. You got to be careful. Many prayers go out to the 82 children that were lost in that flood in Texas. That is such a tragic thing. And again, we didn't have a warning system set up. There was talk about one, but there wasn't one. And people have a tendency to want to watch it, and water rises too fast. You need to go for higher ground. It's like the tsunami. If you see a wave suddenly disappear, go out to sea, that's a sign of a huge wave coming, and you need to go to the hills. Too many people, when the earthquakes happened, in Indonesia, they sat there at the beach and thought it was fun to see all the interesting things in there. They did not know. It's called education. It's just like CPS. You need to be educated. And that CPS is what you can do on the internet. I've learned so much by using the internet. And we should be able to talk to our children about the internet in elementary school. I think that's when they start getting on the computer. Or maybe it's kindergarten. Or is it preppy K? Or preschool? You see, there's all levels of education. Now, a lot of people can afford preschool because it's a private entity. But right now where I live, in the public systems, they have a thing called preppy K. That is before kindergarten. Kindergarten is before. I didn't have kindergarten when I was in high school or in elementary school. It was just basically grades 1 through 6, but now it's grades 1 through 5 in kindergarten and preppy K. So if you go to elementary school, you do preppy K, kindergarten, and that's all available, paid by the property tax you pay on your homes. The people that buy homes pay for the schooling, which is sad because there should be another way of taxing the people that pay for schools, not just based on the people that buy homes. Now, I am talking my show a little bit differently. I'm trying to be different here because I think either you guys are getting bored or you've been hearing me say the same things over and over. It's important I say these rules because they will help you. Now, I have another way that you can be on my live stream. Read that message. I don't have to really read it for you because it's there. I love to have you as a guest, and we use a software program called StreamYard to broadcast on YouTube. Yeah, Dorothy, I appreciate that. Lord have mercy. There's so much that we can sit here. I could talk for hours. That's what I'm saying. I love to do a show called Life Skills and pick a life skill every day that's different so I can talk about different things in depths. But right now, the only life skill I'm talking about is CPS and how important it is to get protection. Because if you don't have a real attorney, and most of you don't, most of you are low income. I myself had lost my job of working 60 years. Not 60, I worked 45 years when I lost my job. And I lost it through no fault of my own. And luckily, I had money put away. But paying mortgage payments of $5,000 a month, including your taxes, gets eaten up with anything you have savings. I lasted for, oh boy, how long did I last there? I lasted for 7 years. For 7 years, I was paying the mortgage myself from my savings. Yes, I had made a lot of money. I'd saved a lot of money. I thought I'd saved it, but I didn't think about legal insurance, and I wish I had done. And I wish you parents out there that have become foster kids, get your records expunged when you're 18. Get it cleared up. There's no reason for that data to be there. And the other thing we need to do is we need to really fight. We need to talk to our Congress people. We need to talk to our Congress people. Congress is responsible for making decisions and policies. They're responsible in 1962 to create the CPS. And in 1978, they created the ICWA. And it wasn't to 2025 that did the next thing. You know, there's been little things that done over the years, but the next biggest point, well, I should say in 97, which was a negative thing in 97, that's when Bill Clinton signed the incentive law, which mainly says that CPS's organizations would be rewarded of $35,000 per child if they got them adopted into foster care, because they said that foster care was quicker than family reunification, is more costly, which is sad because that sent the wrong message. That sent the wrong message. I don't know about the underground adoptions. I have no idea. All I know is that being a foster parent is quicker to adopt a child than adopt a child. Technically, to adopt a child, you should get an attorney to help you with the legality. You need to make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, because there are loopholes that will affect you. Now, I don't know about underground adoptions. Yes, you're right. Right now, CPS has no board of directors, no board of supervisors. There's nothing at the state level that watchdogs the county. The counties are able to do everything themselves. You know, there's no continuity among counties. Every county is autonomous from one another. All they do is counties depend on is the state, and all the state does is pass money. They get the money from the federal government. The federal government sends out money. It wasn't too Dodge. It wasn't too Doge came along, the Department of Government Efficiency, that they're now checking out our government policies. And one of them is social services. It is being investigated. And a lot of the CPS are rogue out there, and they've gone corrupt. Their typical rogue CPS, the bad CPS is that the first thing to do is a complaint comes in, either from a mandated reporter or layman reporter. These reporters make a simple phone call. They don't have to write a document and sign it. I think you should have to be right and include a phone number. Now, they don't need to give out that information, but if that person proves to be false, they should be accountable. It's a serious, serious crime to make a false CPS report. Now, what I mean by serious is not in the eyes of the law, but when you sit there, and too many parents will do this, they don't like the neighbor because the neighbor's dog's barking, or their neighbor's yard's overgrowing their yard, or the neighbor made fun of you or something like that. So they retaliate by calling in false reporting. Lay people do that all the time. The mandated reporters are a little bit more intelligent because they have had education in child protection services, and they are required by law to report abuse and negligence. But studies have shown that 50% of the time they're wrong. 50% of the time they're wrong. Now, you have to be careful because people are like watchdogs, and there's vindictive people out there that will turn you in. So if you're disciplining the children around public people, be careful how you discipline them. Be careful. Be careful allowing strangers into your home. In medieval times, we had castles, and everybody would run into the castle, the drawbridge is up, and no one could get in. Well, your home is your castle. Your home is your castle. When you close the door, the drawbridge is up. You don't allow people to come in there unless you know them. And you certainly don't answer the door, and you don't even want to talk to the door. You just be quiet. Those people will go away. They'll leave what they're trying to sell you. They'll leave a business card if they want you to call up and talk to them. They'll leave you a warrant, a copy of the warrant, which is one of the ways they get in your home. But even the warrants are abused. There are false warrants out there. Last night, someone was talking about it wasn't really a warrant, it was alleged court order. First of all, CPS cannot serve warrants. Only the sheriff can. The sheriff. Every state has sheriffs. That's one of the responsibilities of the sheriffs is to serve warrants. Now, warrants are a bad thing, especially if you sign one on a traffic ticket and you fail to appear. Because if you get stopped, they'll haul you in. They'll arrest you. So never, ever not appear in court if you promise to do so. It's called an arraignment. When you appear in court, it's called arraignment. It's where they're going to make determination whether you're guilty or not guilty. Same thing happens in CPS. But the only difference among CPS and other criminal matters is that you're guilty until you're proven innocent. In other courts of law, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. So you're working against that. Also, you're working against a person that didn't sign it, didn't put it in writing, that said it verbally, and then you're putting on with a social worker that's not trained, not educated, not experienced, that is going to run with that. They have 24 hours that they have to investigate that complaint. And a lot of times their MO is to come out to the house, search the house, which they're not allowed to, but you don't know that, and demand your child when they're not in danger. That's what happens to most of you. That's what happens to most of you. Now, my number's up there if you wanted to call in. As I say, I'm doing the show a little bit differently where I'm talking about some things that are going to help you. And I'm trying to, there's enough of my shows that talk about my 5 rules in depth. And thank you for the emoji there, Dorothy and Christina Reynoso. I know you're in the background. Thank you for being there from Las Vegas. I love the hearts there, Christina. But I really care about you guys. I really want to help you. And what helps me is when you call in or you text me a message, I will try to help you. Several weeks ago, I helped out a family that was being charged with medical neglect. Medical neglect. They were told by a social worker that they had to take the appendix from their 4-month-old daughter. She didn't have to have the appendix removed. She didn't have to. But the social worker insinuated they did, and they did it by mistake. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. I have an important message. Anyway, oh God, it's just sometimes. Anyway, I have to laugh at sometimes things. They're funny in life. We're getting close to the end of my show. In fact, it's 11:10, and I've gone 10 minutes over my show, so I need to wrap it up. Oh boy, someone's calling me after 10 minutes. Oh boy. This is Bob Pace live stream. Who do I have the pleasure of talking to?
The chat's not, but the volume didn't come on right away, so I'm not sure. just wanted to let you guys know.
Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, I'm still live, by the way. I'm still live. So thank you for that. And yeah, what is your name? What is your name? Diane. And what area are you from, Diane? Okay, Diane, could you call in tonight at 7 p.m. my time, Pacific time, and tell me about your CPS store? My name is Bob Pace, Pace. Yes, it is. And you're live on the live stream. Okay. Well, it's all right, Diane. It's all right because I'm wrapping up my show. Yeah. Well, sometimes there's been a delay, but I'll make sure that I emphasize it. I check before I enter the studio that my volume's working and my green bar goes up and down. Yes. Well, it's 14. Actually, it's 14. It is intense. You have to understand, I've been doing this since October of 2023. That's 21 months, 14 shows a week, and over 2,101 people. You're the one person. So, anyway, I'm glad you called in. If you want to call in again, Diane, that'd be great. Or if you want to text me your question, I'll help you with your CPS case. Sure. Okay. Guess what? You're going to get a free one. All you're going to do is you're going to text me at that number you just called, 626-698-0990. Your full name, your email, and your phone number. And I'll set you up with a private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. Well, no, that right there, I think, is a call. I think it's the one for $15. But he does Zoom there. But um, yeah, it's a private call. It's not a Zoom. It's a private call for $15. But if you talk to you on my show, one of the benefits of talking on my show are a guest there. Right. It is my computer. Yes. Yesterday I was using my old computer. And in fact, I was trying to work it, but I'm still trying to save my money. My problem is I don't get paid on a regular basis. I did a lot of work in June and I've not been paid for it. And so I use the money to save it. Yes, 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 yes. Right. Yes, yes, it is. It does. Our kids. Yes, I know. Yeah. One moment, Diane. Dorothy Cook, who just texted in, you have to talk on my show or be a guest to get that Zoom conference. Uh, to get that. Right. I'm just talking to Dorothy. She put it up there. She helps me. She's from North Carolina. She says full name. I don't want everybody to know that Vincent will talk to anybody that sends in a phone number or anything like that. You need to talk on my show to get that. So you did talk on my show. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I hope that you, yeah.
Just like put on the front corner.
I know. I know that. I know that. But I'm glad you did call in. Yes, I am. It's very emotional to sit here because I relive my case twice a day. And I relive it to the point where I see what went wrong. I do see that. And as I say, I'm an old dinosaur. And so I hope that what I present will help others out there not experience what I experience. And no matter where you're from, no matter what your color or walks of life, whether you're a Native American Indian or somebody from the Middle East or somebody from Africa, wherever you're from, I'm open to everybody in the world. It's not only in the United States, because I have mothers from South Africa that are very emotional. One lives in a garage. They're so poor they have to live in a garage. And she lost her child because the government of South Africa is very corrupt. People do not really, they think our government's corrupt. They think our country's bad. But until you become a world traveler, you don't really know how bad things are over there. All you have to do is look at, yeah. I am very, yeah. Yeah, it is, sounds good. Yeah, it is good there. Well, I digress a little bit. I try to talk about other life skills. I try to talk about how to better your life. But I'm proud of the United States because we have a country that is very democratic. It is very, very democratic. But we also have a lot of corruption. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know that. I know that. Well, if you get involved, yeah, right. But you can get involved. There are groups. There are groups that get involved. And one way to get involved is becoming a senator or a congressman, a representative. But the thing is, they're so corrupt that money is. It wasn't until Trump came along that said, I don't want a salary. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. He thinks there should be no parties at all. And so Trump, yep. He doesn't believe in parties. He's upset right now. No, you got to. You got to. Yep.
People, they just cancel things and wipe things. But now, what happens with everything else? Everything in my life has come to a halt because of this. Everything. It just and all I want now is to solve problems.
Yeah, yeah. And I would like to, as you say, you're doing fine talking. If you like to talk tonight, it'd be good. I also have another woman in the room named Chelsea. Hello, Chelsea. And she was on here a little year and a half ago. Yep. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Diane. Now got my kids back. In case closed in December, now I want to go back and sue them. You can sue them, but you got to sue them right away. You got to sue them right away. That's another thing you can do. Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, I got to sign off, Diane, because I've gone over 20 minutes off my show and they have rules I have to go by. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Diane. Bye bye. Okay, that was Diane from Illinois, who's been watching my show for some time. She didn't know she was live, but she called in, and I have a hard time of turning this off sometimes when I should. But I do have to go. I do want to correct Dorothy. I want to thank her for Dorothy, what she does. And I want everybody to understand that you get free 15-minute with Mr. Davis, or you can spend $15 and get 15 minutes with him. So there's a $15 for 15 minutes, a $60 for 30 minutes, or a free 15 minutes with Mr. Davis. All you have to do is talk on my show. Anyway, thank you, Diane. Thank you, Dorothy Cook from North Carolina. Thank you, Christina Reynosa from Las Vegas, Nevada. I know you didn't really talk at all, but you're in the background. I want to thank to all my listeners. And I hope that today I covered things. Now, there says something about my volume. I am sorry about my volume. I am trying to. I have saved up enough money for my computer, but I use that money to pay my bills. And right now I'm owed a couple $1,000. And it's sad. It's really sad because I work for Bangladesh wages and I'm trying to get a real job. I'm trying to get it so that I can take care of my family. My goal in my life has been, when I've been committed to marriage, is to take care of my family through better for worse. So with that being said, I'll be on again tonight at 7 p.m. Please do not give up. Come to this room. I'll give you encouragement. I'll help you with your case. I'll do anything impossible that I can because I do care about you. So I will be back again tonight at 7 p.m. So God bless you all, and thank you for listening. This is Bob Pace, ready to sign off, but there'll be a brief message from Vincent Davis that I want you to hear. A brief message from Vincent Davis. This now concludes my live stream.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce him. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the
last ones left. Put your